Voicemail from Troubadour. That's a bit weird. I'm sorry for white truffling. Something tells me that's not true. Actually, let's just listen anyway. It might be funny, who knows.
Hey Grounded, it's me, Troubadour. I've realized the error of my ways with the white truffle video. I thought it was gonna be a fun bug and some easy content, but I didn't realize at the time the scope of just how broken and annoying to beat that team was going to be. So I'm dedicating my next batch of videos to serving my time for tryhard violations, you could say. And one of the ideas I have is to do a build or team imposed by you, no matter how difficult or dumb it sounds. I figured you always go for such interesting teams. And, as head of the Anti Tryhard Association, I figured you'd be the perfect person to enact this punishment. So yeah, Grounded, tell me what you got.
Well, that was a pleasant surprise. Here, Troubadour, you can have a thumbs up for a change. On second thoughts, I should probably just multi-skull anyway to be safe. Alright, I have to admit this is a pretty good idea from Troubadour, and it's nice to see him recognising the harm he's caused to this community and realising that it's time to make amends. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a bunch of different teams that I have tried to record in recent times with varying degrees of success. Most of these would have ended up being videos on their own, depending on whether or not I was able to get the recording that I actually wanted. Some of these I would have definitely just used regardless, even though there are going to be losses here, spoilers. But since this opportunity came along to make Troubadour experience things from someone else's perspective, that's what we're going to end up using these runs for. So run number 1, we're going to look at this particular game, which is free to play. Now, I was trying to think of other ideas or things I could do with free to play, and one of the unusual things that you probably ended up going for way back at the very beginning of SAP, once you'd sort of exhausted all the standard teams, was going for the achievements on token pets. So here I got a level 3 ram from pilling a level 3 spider. Sorry, I got 2 level 3 rams from pilling a level 3 sheep that came from a level 3 spider. And in customs, that is absolutely perfect for links, because you instantly have 2 level 3 units, and even though they're just useless tokens, the links' ability is still going to get powered up. So I wanted to try and record a free-to-play only run where we take the 2 rams all the way to the end and see if we can get a victory. Now, I think of all the builds that I've got in this video, this must be the easiest one by far. But at the same time, it's something that you just never see because, there's no need to do it really. It's not difficult to get a level 3 pet in customs. You just take a guinea pig, for instance, and then you can transform it into another tier 2. Tokens are considered tier 1. So if I transformed a ram, which you can't do in free to play anyway, if I transformed them, it would just turn into a tier 1 unit. So it'd be a bit of a waste. But we actually get a very, very good start here with penguin. We got double penguin as well as the lynx. And then rolling into another lynx and a penguin. And taking advantage of the fact that cake is free to play as well, which allows us to instantly get the flounder trigger for only 6 gold. Definitely think that was a bit of a balancing error. But for now, if you're playing free to play, you need to take any advantage that you can possibly find, because otherwise it's going to be pretty miserable. So there is another flounder there. I don't think I take it though. No. I'm not sure if the links are going to get combined together here, or maybe I'll just give up on the penguin. But we are on turn 10, 6 trophies. So there's a pretty good chance that we're going to get an opportunity to go for the 10 piece pretty soon. In which case the penguin, the penguin can just go and we take the mammoth, put the mushroom on it. And we actually get a pill straight away, so I just decide to pill and then buy the other mammoth. And we can look for another one later. Okay, gonna take the chicken leg. Luckily here the hawk wastes all its damage on the 1-1 mammoth, which is beautiful. Maybe we were going to win regardless, I'm not sure. Lynx so disruptive, especially in the earlier turns. Now there's a tiger here. Normally I think if you were playing sensibly, you just take the tiger. But I didn't want to do that. It'll be interesting to see if Troubadour decides to pick this particular team, whether or not he elects to play tiger and monkey and hatching chick. All his usual things. Hopefully he's turned over a new leaf, but I'll believe it when I see it. And this team works out beautifully for as an opponent for us. Their biggest unit was right at the back. We were able to deal with all the summons pretty easily. So here I'm just rolling for Pill or Albatross. I do get the Albatross. 9 wins. And I decide, yeah, we're going to go for the symmetrical team. It just looks nice. And with the damage boost from the Albatross, I feel like I have a reasonable chance here. We actually knock out the Dunkleosteus right at the start. But unfortunately here there are 2 brutal 1 HP breakpoints there. And it's a loss. And then freeze the Albatross, just rolling for another chocolate or lynx. We don't get it. Unfortunately, since my lineup is locked now, I can't use the Venus Flytrap. And then it's the classic all scalars plus a tier 1. Was it a scalar right at the front? It might have been Camel. So maybe not quite as bad. Yeah, I'm actually going to rewatch it. Yeah. Yeah, it was the classic team locked at like turn 7 or 8. Although to be fair, I haven't really made many pivots here. It is something I've been thinking about recently that, if you play with all the packs unlocked, as we obviously just automatically lose to this, you do have a lot more options in terms of sort of pivoting your team later. You can transform stuff and completely redefine your squad. But in free-to-play, you feel like you're locked in pretty early, I would say. And, because of that, you tend not to see too many creative free-to-play teams because it's just very difficult. And obviously, here on turn 16, we're going to get destroyed by this naughty user's fairly standard-looking trumpet squad. But I thought that was a fun, symmetrical team, and it'll be interesting to see if Troubadour can make it work. So next one, we're not going to be able to show every single run all the way through here because the video would just end up being way too long. Now, I know Rev just released an 1.5 hour long video, which if you haven't watched already, I highly encourage you to do so. It has taken him quite some time to edit it though, and I just don't have that time on my hands. So Troubadour's going to have to settle for this 20-minute long mini epic. Now this team I was really proud of, because one of the issues that you have with the new Yeti crab, which you can see in the middle of my team, it has an unusual ability where it will work differently on opponents compared to teammates. What I want to happen here is for us to guarantee that the opposing pet has a perk, and then it gets removed by the Frostwolf, so that the Yeti crab can snipe. And one of the ways we can do that is by having Bear give honey to their frontmost unit, and then it will be replaced by the cold. Now, it would have happened here, but unfortunately they had toilet paper, which resulted in the Yeti crab giving melon slice to the bear instead. So we didn't quite get to see the combo work there. And as you level up Yeti Crab, it doesn't do more damage, it just activates more times. So this combo is really kind of hampered from the outset. And you can't just use Bear without the Frostwolf here, because replacing someone else's perk with honey does not count as them losing a perk. I think that's one of the first things I tried when this pet was available on the test server. So probably should freeze the mushroom here for the Frostwolf, but of course that would only come into effect if the bear happened to get transformed, which I guess is not impossible. You do see quite a few people playing Basilisk. And here we did get a second application of cold, but the Yeti crabs had already run out of triggers. So we really need to level up to actually see this work more than once. I'm sure this would probably be a lot better if we replaced the Frostwolf with something else, but this was the team I was committed to, and I think having a tier 2 with Anubis generally makes those types of teams much easier to achieve. And yeah, here you can see it worked out twice. We got 2 activations because he did so much damage. So that's 9 again with 3 hearts left. Not the most threatening squad for turn 15 though. And then we face another tier 1 plus 4 scalers, or maybe it wasn't 4 scalers, but it's a lot of scalers. So we never had a chance. And we're just going to assume from this point onwards that I went on to win, because I don't feel like showing the rest of that game. Now, next team we're going to look at here is a Gargoyle with Giant Tortoise team. So I really wanted to try and take advantage of the fact that Giant Tortoise's health can go up to 100. There was a while where a lot of people were playing Giant Tortoise, but that's kind of fallen off now. Really, there's no need to play it when you can play Behemoth. But I thought it was a funny idea to try and play Gargoyle as well with no mana generator. So we're just playing Gargoyle and buying as many mana potions as possible. And 16 mana with level 3 Gargoyle is going to generate a lot of health, as you should see in a second. Yeah, so we get 54 health there with only, 16 mana. Now it is difficult to maintain the mana because it's obviously going to decay every turn. But this was the team I really wanted to make. And of course the Amargasaurus helps restore health that gets lost from the Giant Tortoise. So ideally we would have level 2 or 3 Tar. Yeah, actually now that we're on 9 wins, I'm going to rearrange the team and throw. So this team probably isn't all that difficult to get if you really spent a lot of time on it. But I think I would have had to win early because building a team around just health scaling, it can work in the early late game, but once you get to the later turns, it's just nowhere near good enough. At least this particular version. I'm sure you can probably build, much more optimal sort of stall specific teams, but this one is much more of a gimmick than, just playing II or Black Rhino or so on. And of course, these days there are a lot of people that have ailment defense as well. Here's not a game dev log, so we're going to lose to him because he had a couple of white ochre. Actually, maybe we would have lost anyway, but yeah. Always frustrating when you get matched with one of your SAP buddies and they take a life off you, because oftentimes they're the people who are going to help these runs get to the finishing line by playing weaker teams. So now we're down to only 7 mana, but I think we could be okay against this team. Or maybe not, no. The Giant Tortoise just didn't have enough attack there. We do get level 2 on both the Amargasaurus and the Giant Tortoise though, so that's a nice upgrade. But now we're getting into the range where it's going to be incredibly difficult for this team to do anything against these opposing squads. And although they looked quite small initially, they had the Eagle Owl give a ton of health. And then of course it's very difficult to avoid Geometric Tortoise, which is, it's kind of like Stonefish that just works indefinitely. I still can't think of a good way to rework it to be a bit fairer. But then, yeah, here on 9 wins, 1 heart, we face good old level 3 Hatching Chick. Troubadour, like I was saying, you'll get extra bonus points for not being cringe if you don't use level 3 Hatching Chick for any of these teams. And yeah, that one just did not have the gas to make it. So next one up, this one is based off one of the changes for Danger Pack that everyone had been requesting, and it is that the white-bellied heron should give more powerful versions of Meatbone at higher levels. Originally it would give 1, 2 or 3 Meatbones, which isn't very good the later you go because you're wiping your own equipment. And I wanted to know if it was possible for this multiplied version of Meatbone to get further multiplied by Panther. And it is, but it's not particularly good. I guess in theory it sounds like it could be good because it's like having steak every single hit. But at the same time, that's contingent on the order not getting messed up, or the white-bellied hare not getting transformed into something else. But luckily here on turn 15 we get the panther and the chocolate to go for the level 3. And there you go, you can see 48 damage we did there. So it actually looks pretty strong in that particular round. Of course, Panther plus Popcorn is doing a lot of heavy lifting here as well. I'm kind of messing around a little bit with the Puma plus Excalibur, but it is level 2 Excalibur. And yeah, here against the Behemoth Cat, one of the most common combos you see in customs now. We're just not going to have the attack power to get through. Of course, if the Panther had had Stake there instead, obviously the Stake effect would have been multiplied, and we could have one-shot the Behemoth maybe. But then that's just not as funny as Panther multiplying triple meat bone. Now here's a team that looks beatable initially, but it is level 3 Cali Greyhound, so everything gets reduced down to 1 HP. And yeah, it's barely a loss. It's funny how that happens sometimes where, you know, you're playing an odd combo, but you're still reliant on having some stats to be able to, compete with normal teams. And then out of nowhere you face a fairly rare team like that, and it hard counters you. Then here, the Flea survived on 1 HP. I think we were still going to lose regardless. But yeah, I think at 9 wins with that combo, I probably would have uploaded that sooner or later. And then lastly here, we're going to look at my favourite one. I'm sure if you've played Customs in the last month, you would have seen me going for this. I spent several days on it and got a lot of fun clips, but it is very, very frustrating trying to build certain teams around pets with awkward abilities. Now, Silky Chicken is one of the new free-to-play only pets. This one, it's okay. Like, I think it's really good if you have access to everything, but if you're free-to-play only, I don't think it's particularly great because you don't have any means of applying ailments to your own team. The only way you could achieve that would be if you Venus Flytrap something, but you would have to be pretty lucky to Venus Flytrap something that late while also simultaneously having Silky Chicken on your team already. So maybe it's not obvious from Silky Chicken's ability, which is to replace an ailment with a random tier 1 perk. It's actually controllable, so if you change the contents of your pack so that you only have one perk on the lower tiers, so here we're only using level 1 Silky Chickens, you'll always get the same perk. Actually worth pausing to look at this battle. This is, tier 1 with a really strong buy-sell team, and we're only going to miss out here by 1 HP. That's so unfortunate. But yeah, obviously in this pack I only have Strawberry on tier 1, which will mean that the Silky Chickens are guaranteed to always give Strawberry to the other pets in the team. Of course, we also need 2 Silky Chickens to guarantee that both of them get the Strawberry. And that was another round where we had multiple 1 HP breakpoints. Another Behemoth team. Very difficult for pets like Puffin to get through opposing teams like that. And then look at the comparison between that previous round and this one. Such a difference in strength. And the Tarask feint gives everything 11/11 stats, and we're able to win. I think Puffin is one of those units that I really like it for building odd teams, but also it is one of those ones that, early game it can feel like it's much stronger than it actually is. And then when you get to the end game, it just falls off a cliff so hard. And actually here you can see an odd bug with Silky Chicken. Or maybe it's not necessarily a bug, but bits of randomness in the way that it triggers. So we missed out on a Strawberry there, and our Puffin Snipe team just didn't have a chance. So which one of these do you think Troubadour is going to record? I mean, maybe I'm being greedy, but I would kind of hope he's going to do all of them. He's certainly committed enough crimes in Arena to justify it.